Welcome to On1, the podcast for tips, tricks, and techniques for the On1 software community. And here's your host, Scott Kelby.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to On1, the podcast where we look at all the cool stuff you can do with On1 software. And today's a particularly important one because we just wrapped up our our On1 sponsored travel photography conference, where we had all kinds of classes, not just on travel photography, but of course, working the On1 plugins into your whole workflow. And everybody that attended the conference, get this, everybody that attended the conference got a free copy of Effects 2025. So On1 Effects 2025, everybody that attended got a free copy. So I thought it would be apropos, which is a $5 word you don't get to use every day, apropos, to be able to show you today my 5 favorite filters, because there's so many. Like, you open up this window and there's all these different filters. So I'm going to show you my 5 favorite, they're not my 5 favorite. They're 5 of my favorite, because I want to be able to do this again next month on the next episode and show you my other 5 favorite. I actually have 10 that I use quite a bit, but I'll use some here and there, but these are my go-to ones. Ready? All right, so the first one, we're going to start with this image. We're starting the image in Lightroom, and you can do your basic whatever if you want here in Lightroom, if you want to just like hit auto or something. Or all right, and it doesn't look much better. So let's go into the photo menu, let's go to edit in, and let's hit Effects 2025. And so it's going to make a copy. We're going to open it up over there and give it just a sec. All right, here we go. All right, so here's the image open. Now, I'm going to show you my first one. My first one I really like, because for portraits like this, I think it really takes it to the next level. It gives it a very contemporary, modern look. So much so, and the look I'm going to give it is a Sunflare look. Now, this has gotten so popular, especially with like wedding and senior portraiture and things like that, that people are actually paying a premium to find old lenses that have no nano coating, because nano coating was added to lenses to stop lens flare. Now we're dying for a lens flare. So let's go here to add filter, and this is what I'm talking about. Look at all these filters, right? These are all effects filters, and we're gonna go and choose Sunflare. Now what's nice is there's all kinds of different Sunflares, but the one we're gonna use is actually called Sunflare. You can do Sun Stars, which are these things that look like the actual, well, actually, that looks pretty good. That wasn't the one I was going to use, but since I've used it and it's so perfect, right where it's at too, is you could just go down here and then adjust the hue a little bit. And I'll usually add some yellow or something into it to make it a little more sun-like. You can control the scale, and you can even control the position here with this little bad boy right here. So if you wanted to move it closer to her hat or the edge of her hat, and you can of course always mask it if you wanted to mask it out so none of it touched her, which I think it should spill over onto her. You could mask it, but we don't have to do that here. You can also go and adjust the warmth here, but I think what we need to do is kind of adjust the overall warmth, right? So after you add that, and that wasn't even the one I was going to add, but let's just go and add another one. Let's go over here to like color balance or color enhancer, either one you want, and you can just add. This is for the overall image, and this is what I would do, was bring in a lot of yellow and a little bit of magenta, so it gets that late afternoon look. And I'm going to hit the / key just to show you a quick before and after, so you can see how flat and blue the other image was. So why did she look so blue? It's because I shot it using auto white balance. And she is facing away from the sun, so she's essentially in the shade. In fact, she is shaded on this side, and if you don't adjust your white balance, she's going to look blue. So that's another reason why. But look at the difference, how it adds that different look. But that's not even the one I was going to add, so I am going to go back and at least show you the other one, which was, what I wanted to show was the Sunflare. And the one I wanted to do, I'll just go in here. And there's so many to choose from. So you would choose the type. So you could choose, there's 3 different types, the bokeh or the bokeh type Sunflare, the regular Sunflare, and then the Sun Star, which we just saw. So we're gonna go to Sunflare. And then when you click under texture, you've got all these different ones to choose. And I particularly like Sunflare 02, I think is a pretty good one. But they have ones that look like kind of more almost light leaky ones. They have ones that are very directional. And as you hover your cursor over each one of these, you get an instant on-screen preview. So that's one of my first of my favorites, and I particularly like that. But I like Sunflare number 2. Now, I think the opacity here is probably a bit much. You can control the amount. If you think it's a little bit, I would pull it back just a bit. And you also, if you go a little lower, you can control the brightness of the whole thing. I think it should be very bright. And you can control the saturation of the color that you're using. And we can also do a little split screen here. Let's take a look at the difference, right? It just takes on a whole different, fresh look, other than the blue skin, which you usually use to make people look like they're dead. So you can see why. Here we go. Okay. All right. That's my first one, but I have more. Let's go ahead and we'll just cancel out of that. Next, I'm going to show you one of my favorites. Now, I use this a lot for outdoor shots, and in particular, I use them a lot for aviation, but also a lot for portraits. And it is a classic old darkroom technique that they've put into a filter, and it's called the Bleach Bypass look. And I love it. And you know who I see, who got me really onto this? If you ever look at Tim Wallace's work, which Tim Wallace is a brilliant genius, lives in the UK. He's also a Kelby 1 instructor, by the way. And he got his start as an incredible automotive photographer, shooting for the biggest brands, shooting for Jaguar and for Aston Martin and all these big car companies based in the UK. And then he started doing all transportation. Now he's doing jets and he's doing luxury boats, and he's just like the transportation guy, shooting for companies all over the world now. And he even does wood chippers. But one of the things I love when he does his aircraft stuff is he uses like a very bleach bypass look. So I'll show you how I had been using it, right? Like here's an outdoor portrait I shot downtown Tampa, Florida. And what I would do to use the bleach bypass here is, let's go over, of course, to effects. So let's go to photo, edit in, we'll take it to effects 2025 and jump it over there. All right, so here it is here. Now, when you click add filter, I'm going to stop you before you go on and go and click bleach bypass, because while you can apply it to the whole image, I rarely do that. I want it for the sky. I want that bleached out looking sky that has a very unique tone to it. So I'm going to go ahead and use some AI masking right from the beginning. So we already have determined we're not going to touch the floor, the sidewalk in this case, or the grass, or the buildings behind, or the subject, just the sky. So look over here where it says we're going to apply this effect with a mask to just the sky. So I'm going to click on sky, and you can see the tint there shows you, the blue tint shows you what it's going to mask, all right? So we're going to hit that, and then we're going to go over here and choose bleach bypass. All right, now when it comes in, the bleach bypass default, I think, is a very conservative default. I'm going to go all the way over here to the one called Omaha Beach. That's the look I'm looking for, but it's a little too green for me. I don't know if you notice, maybe it's just me, but it looks a little greenish. So I would go and push a little blue into it. You could push some saturation to it, and that'll kind of do it, but to me it still has a bit of a green, and I like the desaturation look of the sky because it kind of adds contrast and desaturation kind of at the same time. So I'm going to go here, and of course you can use other presets to try them out, but I happen to always go for Omaha Beach. So while Omaha Beach is here, we can go and add another one, and this is what I would just use with it, is color balance. Let's go in here, and in the mid-tones, we could go a little towards blue. That's all you need right there. Just a little towards blue, and you're done. Now that's using it in a portrait sense. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. And let's go we'll look at an aircraft. All right, so this is shot out at a air show in Fort Worth, Texas, right? I think it was the Fort Worth Alliance Air Show, if I remember right, but I could be wrong. All right, same thing. We're going to take it over to Effects 2025. Once again, once it comes over, what's the first thing I'm going to do? It really won't look bad if I apply it to the whole image, but I really just want to apply it to the sky. So that's the move I'm looking for. So let's go filter. Let's hit sky over here on the right, on the left, and then bleach bypass. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go straight over to Omaha Beach, and boom, right there. That one actually looks okay. It doesn't look nearly as green as the other one, but look at the difference. You can see, look at that. Look how nicely it masks just the sky. And I've got that look, and that's if you look at Tim's work, he's got this. Now his airplanes look cooler. This is a trainer. It's okay, but he's shooting amazing like French jets and stuff, fighter jets, But with that sky, it just I don't know. I just love it. So that's another one of my favorites, which is bleach bypass. Let's go on because let me tell you why I'm saying let's go on. Because I have a special guest, Dan Harlacher from On1 Software is going to be here, and he's going to give you a sneak peek of some new technology in just a minute. So don't move, don't breathe, don't make a sound. Dan will be here, and he's going to give us a sneak peek. But I've got a couple more to show you that are my favorites. All right, this one, I think, the next one I'm going to show you is not just my favorite, it's everybody's favorite. It's one of the things that is an absolute magic inside of effects. And that's the dynamic contrast. It's everybody's favorite because it's just so good. Now I'm going to apply it to the whole photo in this image right here. It's just right here, dynamic contrast. You just click on it and let's choose. You can choose one of these. But what I do, it's going to sound bad when I first say it, is I'm going to go choose right to surreal. Or I either texture enhance or surreal, which looks like it's over the top, and it is, but that's why you have an opacity slider, so I can kind of dial it in maybe somewhere about maybe 60%. And I'm going to show you, and I'll make it larger so you can really see. Look at the difference here in detail. Look at this. But without being too crunchy. I think if you leave it at surreal, it's a bit too crunchy, but it says it in the name. Surreal, but that's why it's so nice to be able to change the opacity or the power of it afterwards just by lowering this. Now there's other choices. The other one that I like is texture enhancer, which is nice too. It's not too over the top. You may not have to adjust that one at all, but look at the difference. It's like night and day. All right, and I'm going to pop out of that. I'm just going to hit the backslash key so you can see. I mean, the difference is pretty staggering. I'm hoping you can see this. If you're watching this on your phone, you may not be as excited as you would be if you saw it on a desktop because it's crazy what it's doing. And that one's pretty great. Now, you can control all the different, the small details, the medium size or the large detail. There's a lot of control here. But most of the time, I'm going to apply one of my favorite presets that are already in there, and then I'm just going to lower it and sweeten it, to taste. By the way, we are live right now if you're watching it live. So if you're watching this on Tuesday at around 3:16 in the afternoon, we are live and we're taking your comments. So if you just want to give a shout out or say hi or whatever, you can do that. But if you're watching this in the replay, I won't know. So. Okay. All right. Two more. I'm going to give you two more, so don't go away because I'm going to hit cancel. And Dan is standing by in a minute, so you don't want to miss that. This one is one I use a lot. So sometimes, here comes all the shout outs. All right. Hey TJ, how you doing? Hey, Holly's here. Nanette's here. Dave's watching all the way from Sweden. How you doing, David? Sorry. David is watching all the way from Sweden. Glad to have you guys here. And all right, so the image that you see on screen, sometimes when you process your image and you add all the things you want to, so I'm going to go in here in Lightroom and just tweak a couple of things. We'll add a little texture and maybe a little bit of clarity. It looks nice and sharp and everything, but the image starts to look, and you hear us use this word a lot, crunchy. I want it to be sharp. I want it to be crisp. I want it to be very detailed. But sometimes you have to take that edge off. And I'll have people go onto my blog or whatever and say, I'm looking at your shot and I want you to explain to me how it looks sharp and looks soft at the same time. This is the trick that I use. Let's go here under the photo menu. Let's go to edit in and let's go to 2025 effects. And it's one of the filters. It's one of the filters and it's one that I love. I go to add filter. I go right here to glow. And the one I use generally is black soft. Now, I like Angel Glow too, but Angel Glow, if you look, is a kind of a brighter glow. Black soft is a little bit darker. And there's three more that say charge more normal, charge more strong, and subtle. They're kind of like the Orton effect on steroids. And they actually do have the Orton effect here. And I think the better of the two is Orton, here's a who. But the one I like and I think is the most natural looking and gets me that result where people say it looks soft and it looks, hard. Which one is it? And then I go to black soft. That's the one. Now, look at the difference. I'm going to hit the backslash key and look at it. See, it's subtle, but it's nice, right? It completely takes the edge off. And this, I love this when I'm doing interiors like a cathedral or a palace or a museum, right? All right, hey, Joe's got a question. Joe says, hi, Scott, I missed the start. This is On1? Yes. So this podcast is one-on-one, and it's all about On1 plugins, and so many of you have them. And everybody that just attended our travel photography conference got a copy of the plugin that I'm showing, my 5 favorite, Joe, and that is On1 Effects. So my 5 favorite, and this is one of my favorites. So this is number 4 of my favorites. So this is, we're in On1. Now you see it says On1 Photo Raw Max, and that's because I use the Max version. So I have basically all the plugins inside of Photo Raw 2025. So I've got everything I need here. If I need to do image resizing, or I need to do reducing noise or whatever, all the things that I need, replacing the sky, they're all right here. So the one that I'm working in today is strictly the effects tab, right? So it's effects 2025. That's what we're working in. Anyway, this is one that I really love, and I'll show you a split screen. And this is supposed to be a subtle effect. So you will notice that it is, but you can see it here. I'll zoom in a little bit. And you can really see, but it's supposed to be subtle. But man, I'm telling you, it takes the edge off in just, look at that, in a beautiful way. So that's one of my finishing moves that I use very, very often. All right, and the last one for today of mine is another one that just adds a little kick to everything, and it's a great little kick. So it's a photo, and let's just go over and open it. Keep hitting the wrong thing. There we go. I got to stop drinking before these podcasts. It really slows things down. All right, here we go. So this is in Tampa, Florida. Anybody? No? Okay. Just making sure you're paying attention. So here we are at the pyramids in Giza. And I'm going to go and choose that little kicker, and I love it. It's simply called Sunshine, right? And it basically, if you look at the description of what it says it does, it says this filter, let me get over it here, increases the appearance of sunshine. It makes a flat, cloudy day more vivid. So, and it says, look at the keywords. And these keywords are great. They're a real peek into what it does. It adds color pop. It adds enhancements. It adds a little bit of glow. It adds a little bit of sun glow and warmth. So this is one I love. Watch the difference. It's just one little thing. And of course, you can choose from any of the presets you want. They have really nice ones. And I just like Sunshine. And look at the difference. Watch. It's see how it just gives you that like pop of sun? I love it. Now, if you look on screen, you'll notice that like on the back of the camel, the color is shifting. That is only happening on the video. It is not actually happening on screen. My color just makes it look more red, but there's a weird video thing that we have noticed recently, that if my colors are reds are too vivid, for some reason our video thing clips it. So don't think, oh, it messes up the reds. It does not. I'm not seeing that at all here, but if you're watching the podcast live, you might be seeing that. All right, so those are my 5, but before I turn things over to Dan real quick, I want to give a couple of shout outs. Bert is here from the Netherlands. Love the Netherlands. Great people, great food, great country. Remember, if it's not Dutch, it's not much. There we go. Holly's here from Washington. Keith is saying hi from Mesa, Arizona. Eileen's here from Argyll, Scotland. Says, happy to be here live. Very happy to have you here, Eileen. Come on. Anyway, standing by all the way from out in Portland near the headquarters of On1 Software is our own Dan Harlacher. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, yeah, it is our pleasure. Love to have you here, especially when you're going to sneak peek some unreleased technology. All right, Dan, what are we going to see today? What are we going to see?
Well, kind of like I mentioned at the travel conference, you were, I can't remember the phrases you used, where you're extolling, the cool stuff we're doing. And I said, well, I got a lot more cool stuff coming. Well, I'm going to show you one thing that we're working on. So this is still kind of in the laboratory phase, if you will. So I can't tell you when exactly this is going to be available for everybody, but we're just so excited by these results, I wanted to share them with you. And what we're talking about today is super resolution. That's taking a small photo, or really a section out of a photo, and blowing it up larger and maintaining the detail. This is kind of the core function of On1 Resize. That'll probably give you a hint as to where you'll see this technology in the future. So let me give you guys some ideas of what we're working on. So I'm going to start off here. I'm using Photoshop today because a lot of these are kind of prepared example that I want to show you guys. Let me get myself out of the way. And this is the original raw photo. So this is a NEF file. This is the original. I'm just going to zoom in a bunch here. This hasn't been resampled at all. So this is just the original photo. I'm going to zoom in a whole bunch here so you guys can take a look. That's the original pixel information. You notice it's kind of noisy in the background. You can see a lot of that noise pattern in there. Let's take a look at what it looks like when we blow it up here. So this is number 8. Let me go find number 8. And so I took a crop. I took just the middle out of it. This is kind of the scenario that we see people with resize use all the time. You're shooting birds. That's usually the most common thing that people need this for. And they're taking a section out of it because they can't get close enough. Their lens isn't long enough. So we can't all afford that, 500 millimeter lens that costs as much as a Volvo. But a lot of us will have like an 80 to 200 2.8 or something like that. So you can get that wider shot. Didn't use resize to zoom in. So I zoomed in, got the crop that I would have got if I had that really long lens here. Let's zoom in to kind of that same spot on it here. This is if we were to take that photo and we blew it up with the current version of resize, what's available today. Now, keep in mind the original. And oops, I ain't like that. Picked a different spot on me here. Get myself out of the way so I can see where I'm at. Where am I? Zoop. There we go. Kind of roughly the same area. That's the original information. There, if we, you know what I do? I have my scroll all windows turned on. Let's turn that off. There's kind of that same area with current resize. It's a little bit better, but look, see how it still gets confused by that noise? This is a very noisy photo. I didn't use any noise reduction beforehand. I just opened the original raw photo. So a little bit more information, but it's still pretty noisy. So take a look at what we've built so far. This is a newer model for doing that super resolution. You can see how it got rid of all that noise in the background and brought out more detail in the feathers. That looks pretty good, right? It's a big difference. So that's kind of today versus the future. That looks pretty good. What do you think, Scott?
Oh yeah. You can definitely see the difference. Yeah, I want that now.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That's good. That's good. But wait till you see the really good one. All right. So there's actually two different models that we're working on. It gets way better, actually. So there's two different models that we're working on. One that's based on kind of the, how do I talk about this without giving away too many secrets? Kind of the current technologies that are behind resize, kind of a turn of the crank, if you will, in terms of making it better, taking a lot of things that we've learned and creating no noise and kind of putting those together. But then there's a whole other way of doing it, which actually uses generative AI or diffusion models instead. That's the one that I really want to show you guys. So watch. So we went from here to here. Now watch this. That's using generative AI and diffusion instead. It's not as fast, but it is amazing. Frickin' amazing. Can I say frickin' on this?
You can
There's
say
no,
frickin'.
no
Oh, we
censors,
say it
right?
all the time now.
Okay, good.
It's
So,
not a cuss word. It's just a regular word.
A regular old word, a frack. Yeah. So look at that. Now you can actually see the detail in the beak. You can see all the individual little details in the feathers. It's an insane amount of realistic detail that's created using that generative AI for the super resolution.
And this is
Pretty cool.
coming Thursday? No, you're not
This
saying
is still,
when
like I
it's...
said, still kind of in the lab. Still in the
I
lab.
don't
So
know.
let me show you another.
It looks like it's pretty well baked there, Dan.
It's getting pretty good. Let me see. Let's go find another one here that we can look at. Oh, wouldn't you know, I got rid of... All right, so this is actually a much closer crop of a wide angle shot. You know, you can't get this close. So this is probably 15% of the original photo. Let's zoom in here a bunch on it. Again, the original raw photo is pretty noisy, so that's about all we're getting out of it. Not a whole lot there to work with.
Yeah.
On this one. Yeah. So that's the newer, faster model. Certainly better. It got rid of that noise and covered hard edges and detail.
That looks
but
good.
Look at the best quality model. Ka-chow! Look at that.
Oh,
Isn't that
wow. Yeah.
That is just night and day.
It is night and day.
You know,
wow.
From there to there. You know, it knows it's an eagle and it basically creates all of that detail that would be there. So it's like having a 500 millimeter lens instead of a 200 millimeter lens. You're not losing
that's nice.
any detail in that process. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
Right. Yeah. I'll show you a couple more here. All right, so here's one. This is I don't know what this is. What kind of bird is this?
Oh,
it's a partridge.
Is it in a pear tree? If it's
no.
It's not a partridge.
Not a partridge then. All right, so this one, it's in the fog. It's not even in focus, right? I mean, you can tell it's a bird, but that's about all you can tell.
Yes.
But yep, there's a bird there.
Bird in the
All right,
fog.
So
I think it might be a partridge.
It could be. I'm sure there's some AI that'll tell me what it is, but all right. So that is today's results from Resize. Yeah, not a whole lot to work with there. An out of focus picture of a bird in the fog. All right. So we get better with the faster model that we're developing. So you get rid of the noise, you get some harder edges. But again, hold on to your butts. Look at this. Boop. That's actually from the new best quality model. You actually creates feather detail. You get an eye. It's nuts what it can do. All right. Let's see here. Here's another one. All right. Like I said, it's all about birds. That's the original photo, right? Pretty good. So it's a Neff, large size. Let's zoom in and take a closer look at it. This is what, number 21? 21. Here we go. All right, so I did a crop again. I'm assuming that we're trying to get closer to our subject.
Yeah, and you would.
Yeah.
That's a good crop, actually.
Zoom in. Yeah. Well, let's take a look. No, let's go one more. Again, quite a bit of noise in the background. Get some artifacts from noising and things like that. You can kind of almost see like a tile to it from the original. That faster model, much, much better. Removes the noise. That faster
model is actually really good.
It is really good. It's actually better than anything that's out there today until we made the
until you show the next one.
Yeah, we were really excited about the fast one. It's like, oh, now it's not as cool compared to that. Like, wow, look at that detail that you can get in there. So let me show you kind of before.
Oh, yeah.
After. Yeah. Now, there's still reasons you want to use the fast model because, A, it's faster. I'm talking a lot faster. It's kind of the normal performance you would get from Resize today. Yeah. This best quality model is not fast. It's using diffusion. So it could take minutes to process a single photo, but it's magic. So it's like we're all willing to wait for magic to happen, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, you know what? You don't mind waiting if it's worth it.
Yep, exactly. So watch this. So that's before and after. Like you can see all the little fuzzies on these creepy little baby birds.
They're not creepy.
They look kind of creepy to me. So All right. So these are kind of the results, but you're like, well, I don't know when this is coming. This is just stuff for the future. Well, I guess I should actually kind of show you what it would look like if we were using it inside of Resize AI. So here we are in a potential future version of Resize AI.
Potential.
Here's our original photo. Yep. You notice how it's about what? 5,000 by 4,000. I don't know, what is that? Well, I got 20 megapixel off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Let's
something like that.
zoom in here.
A little less than that.
Yeah.
I think it's more like 18.
18, somewhere around there. So that's, if we took that eagle and we zoomed in, that's kind of the data that we had to work with. So let's zoom in 4x. I'm just going to hit the 4x button. Boop. Wow, I had this guy named Scott Kelby tell me he really wanted a button over here that would make it go to 4x. So
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
You hit oh, Dan, you're making my day now.
Oops, hey, come back here, you little turkey.
I'm tired of typing in 400.
Yep.
Oh, look at that, 4x.
Okay. Let me zoom over here so I get in the right spot. And let's give it a second to work its magic here. Chug, 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 chug. So you see it takes a little bit longer for it to process. Really good on a modern NVIDIA Windows computer for performance. That's where it's the most optimized for it. Let's zoom in a little closer here so you can take a look. And let's do our favorite split screen. So that's the original data that it's starting with. That's the input data. That's the results.
Wow.
That's pretty insane, isn't it?
That is insane, is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's not just the sharpness, though it is the sharpness, but the vibrancy and crispness of, like, the beak. Look at the beak.
Yeah, it is literally creating new detail that is not in the original photo. That's kind of that power of generative AI.
Wow.
That it can actually do that. So, yeah, but it's still faithful to your photo. It's not like creating something completely different.
Right, yeah, it's not, yeah.
But, you notice all the feathers are still in the same spot. It's not, someone else's eagle. It's still your eagle that you captured. It's just, what you saw when you captured it through the lens, not what you're limited to by the focal length or the megapixels of your camera instead.
Yeah,
so,
wow, that opens up a whole new world, especially for birders and things like that, where the getting in tight is the whole story, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want to see a bird way up in a tree. I want to see what you're showing on screen. You want to see it nice and crisp and get to see the personality of the bird, right? And that's terrific. Wow. What a great feature. Can't wait for that to come out. And I can't wait for that 4X, 2X, 3X. That's very nice. That's a nice, Dan. All right.
Yeah, so sometime in the future that's coming. And I got a lot more tricks up my sleeves that I'll show you guys in the next coming broadcasts.
All right.
As well.
Thank you. I've loved seeing that. Thank you very much for sharing that technology. You guys are, like I said at the conference, you guys are just hitting on all cylinders, and then boom, there you go. So I got a question real quick from Thomas, because we're way over time, but it's okay. Thomas from Germany is asking, is this running local or is this a cloud?
This is all running local, actually. Yep. So you don't have to have a cloud connection for it. It's using the GPU on your computer to do the rendering for it.
Is there a GPU minimum, Thomas is asking?
It is dependent more upon your patience than anything. So if you have a NVIDIA, like a 3000, 4000, 5000, you're going to get pretty good results. If you've got like an old 1000, like they're dropping support for that. It's so old, it's going to take, minutes.
Well,
to
yeah,
do
that's
processing
the way
on
all
something
of
like
that stuff is. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
AMD is pretty good. Mac M1 series is pretty good. If you have an Intel integrated graphics, not going to work. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, Dan, thank you so much for showing us that sneak peek. That was great. All right. Well, since we are over time, we're going to wrap things up, but we always like to feature a photographer for you to check out before we end the show, and I've got a really great one for you. So I'm going to be mispronouncing her name, but it's Helena, and I think it's Georgiou, and that is Georgiou, Georgiou.photography. So Helena Georgiou.photography. And I love the simplicity of her work. She mostly doing black and white. This image has 44,000 likes. 44,000. I think it is just, I mean, it's got everything. It's just, I love it. It is hard to make a great shot with dead trees, and she nailed it. So I just love it. I love the S-curve leading to the foggy man or foggy woman on the end here, and the reflection, and just, I mean, everything about it is just magic. But she has a lot of shots that are magic. And she's really found some great locations. If you go through here, you can see she's definitely got a style, and it is, I find it just absolutely engaging. But look at this one. You know, these almost look like cinematic scenes, right? Like they almost look so cinematic, and that one person that gives everything scale and extra interest, I think is really something. And just a lot of her work is just really, really amazing. Look at that. Just stunning stuff. So go follow her on Instagram. Again, her name is Helena Georgiou. Helena, Georgiou, Georgiou.photography. And just a wonderful, she is an archaeology historian, a fine art photographer, and a visual storyteller, and and does AI illustrations. And you can also click right here to go to her website and see her work. Well, that's it for this episode. I want to thank Dan from On1 for joining us and for sharing that sneak peek. That is, I love to see what's coming down the pike. It just makes me want it all the more. But in the meantime, thanks to On1 for sponsoring this podcast. Thanks to you guys for joining us live from all over the world. It was so great to have you guys here, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.